From the studios of TLC Talk Radio, you're in the mix with A Vibrant Mix with Tasha, Tamiko, and Fred. Don't forget to follow us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at A Vibrant Mix, and catch all of our past shows on our website, avibrantmix.com. And every Tuesday evening at 10 p.m. Central, we are on Vibe In Radio. That's vibe-in.com. As you can see, I am here once again solo, but in Chicago and Illinois generally, Illinois, Indiana, Midwest, we've got this crazy snowstorm, and it was just a good idea for my co-hosts to stay home. Nonetheless, we have a great show lined up for you. Our on-the-phone guest, because we did not want her trekking in the snow, is the founder of True Black Girl Magic Incorporated, and she's been on the show before. Welcome, Abronia Young. Hey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed. We're so glad to have you back. You know, we're all about that black girl magic around here. How have you been?
I have been great. I have been busy.
Good. So we want to talk about how busy you've been. Tell our vibrant listeners, what is True Black Girl Magic Incorporated?
True Black Girl Magic Incorporated. So I'll go into what our mission is.
Sure.
So a lot of times, one of the things that we've been talking about is our Mission Monday. And every Monday we talk about the mission of True Black Girl Magic. That mission is that we are a coalition of African American women who are whose purpose is to illustrate the prodigious nature of a black woman. Our goal is to massively encourage and support black women across the nation. We will celebrate all positive accomplishments and influences of black women to fortify our unity by bestowing expressions of love, compassion, and respect for many generations to come.
I love it. I'm like, okay, where do I send the offering? As a black girl, we know that our image is not always portrayed positively, and we've shared stories on the show, Tamiko and I, about, you know, how people just kind of make assumptions, particularly if they have never dealt with a black woman before. And so if the only interaction is what you see on TV, that's not always a positive thing. Why is it so important to have our story told and controlled by us as the black woman?
Because just as you said, people go by what they think about black women. The strong black woman and the independent black woman has become a negative trait. That, to me, deplorable. A lot of us have become strong because we have to be. We use words like strong and independent as negative, as a negative connotation and negative adjectives. How about we use the word passionate? How about we use that word? I'm passionate about being a black woman. I'm passionate about being, taking care of my family. Why? Because that's what I have to do at this point. The times, they are changing. As we become more educated and as we become more of the breadwinners, that's not always by choice. I think most women would love for somebody to just come in and take care of them, and be their superhero, but it's not always happening. I find that black women are the ones that I tend to go back to the communities and help in the community.
Okay, excellent.
So that's why it's so important for us to be able to tell our story, because it's been spoon-fed to us to be a certain way. Mm-hmm. And if you don't fit that certain way, then you must be wrong or you haven't been programmed right.
And I think that's key, programmed, because the black woman is diverse. So, sometimes you hear people say, well, you have the working mother versus the mother that is, fortunately able to stay home. And then there's a competition, or the woman who doesn't feel like, well, I don't need to be in a relationship, whether that's, a romantic relationship or whatever. versus the woman who feels like, well, why are you so anti, relationship, when that's not the case. I think that everybody's choice is their choice. So I think it's important to have our stories told because our story is not monolithic, kind of like what you were saying.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, great. So how did it come to be? I know True Black Girl Magic. I first ran across it on social media. Tell us about its foundation.
Well, initially it was started on social media June 28th slash the 29th. And when it initially started, it was started as a Facebook group. It was like, well, it could be national. This could be a national group. Um, Social media is just that, and it is a large platform that you can use to get your initiatives across.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to take it a step further. Like, yeah, it doesn't have to just be fast. We can also do other things in the community. We can spread our magic throughout throughout the nation using Facebook. And from that time, I believe the last time I talked to you, we had like 7,000 members.
Mm-hmm.
We are now like 30 people away from 9,000 members.
Excellent.
But if we didn't have social media, we wouldn't be able to get our message out like we have been. But since then, we decided to become incorporated, which is why we're True Black Girl Magic Inc. And from the being incorporated, we also became a 501c3 status, tax exempt nonprofit organization.
Great. So, what kind of programs, as a nonprofit organization, what kind of initiatives have you all launched?
Okay, so the first initiative that we launched was we did the school supply drive. And what we did was we supplied 12 teachers um, in underserved communities with school supplies. Normally, people give the school supplies to the kids, and they get to the school, maybe, maybe not. But what we tried to do was alleviate some of the debt and the financial burden of a teacher
Sure.
that has to pay for all those things that the kids need.
I remember.
Um, yeah, as teaching in the system right now, which is what I do, every day the kids come in with no school supplies.
Yeah.
Michelle, you got a pencil. Michelle, you got some paper. Michelle, and it's like you got a whole book bag, but not a pen or a pencil in there at all.
Right.
So we wanted to help alleviate the financial burden of the teacher, and we were able to do that for 12 teachers in the city of Chicago and underserved communities. We also went down to Texas after the Hurricane Harvey, and we were able to work in a distribution center to help sort some of the goods that were donated. So we did that. We also fed Sarah Circle. Sarah Circle is a women's homeless shelter up north, and we took them Christmas magic. We supplied them with a meal. We gave them all Christmas gifts, and we gave them toiletries as well.
Nice.
So that was just for 2017, and I didn't tell every single thing we did, but that was just for 2017. Starting 2018, we're doing the purse drive,
Okay.
and that purse drive is to go to a shelter in Inglewood called Maria's Village,
Nice.
and it's on 73rd and Yale.
Okay.
So there we're going to do a workshop. The workshop is called the 5 Minute Faith.
The five
And
minute.
I don't know what you say.
I'm sorry. The I didn't hear you. The 5 minute.
The 5 Minute Faith.
Okay.
And I know you're like, well, a 5 minute faith. What does that entail? So have you ever seen a person that kind of got on lip liner and like chapstick or Vaseline on their lips?
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible look.
Okay.
When you're going to look for a job, you need to have all the confidence you can have.
Right.
And so with the 5 minute face, we're teaching you how to put on a little mascara, a little lipstick, and a little eyeshadow, and go out there and land that job. But we're not just doing a 5 minute face. We're doing a purse drive. We want to give you a purse. We're filling it with toiletries. and we're doing a career clothing drive. We're setting up the shelter like a store. So
Nice.
you get to go and pick out your clothes like you going shopping. Yes,
Excellent.
we are doing that.
And and
And
and that
while
builds
we're doing
confidence.
it, does. It does. And it makes you feel good. When you get something new, it feels so good.
Yes.
No matter what it is, you look at what you bought, and you're like, hey, but to get it for
Mhm.
free, that feels great. We've had some wonderful, wonderful pieces donated to us as far as the clothing. Um, we had people getting behind our purse drive, gently used purses, with the toiletries. And me myself, I donated brand new shoes because I everybody know I'm the queen of the flat shoe.
Okay.
But I bought a bunch of heels that I knew I wasn't ever gonna wear, and I've donated those brand new shoes. Also, we also are working with the children because it's a children women. It's a family shelter, women and children. It's about 25 kids there. We will be working with the kids. We will be doing like a circle time for the toddlers, for the like intermediate, like the I would say the primary grade. We're
Sure.
doing like coloring sheets and puzzles. And for the older kids, like the teenagers, we're gonna play Uno.
Hmm.
So we got something. It's a jam-packed day, but we got something for the kids and the moms. We're gonna give the moms a little bit of peace so they can get pretty and and go shopping, so to speak, and things like that. So it's a lot going on. We
Certainly,
have
certainly.
a mentoring program going on. We got a great mentoring curriculum. We are teaching. We have some wonderful mentors. We have a judge, well, a judge candidate. We have a nurse practitioner. We have a special ed director. We have all these women willing to give their time to young ladies to help them decide what their career path may want to be, um, and things like that. We got a Bulls game where every time you buy a ticket, $15 goes to our Faye McHoward. Yes, I said Faye McHoward. That's my mother. She died in 2002.
Okay.
She fell prey to cancer and she passed away. But the Faye McHoward Woman of Excellence Award, which is our scholarship fund.
Excellent.
So a lot of stuff happening. It
Oh,
is a lot.
now you mentioned the mentoring program and the different walks of life of women, or women from different walks of life, rather, who have given of their time. How can one become a mentor for True Black Girl Magic? Are you looking for career mentors? Are you looking for personal mentors? Is it a blend? Tell me what you need.
Okay, so when we talk about the mentors, we are looking for career driven mentors. It's not a personal mentor because it will be a communal base. Each mentor will be paired up with three young ladies.
Okay.
You will not be taking the mentors out to eat for a week, unless you choose to, unless that's something you decide to set up. It will be in the setting where everybody will meet up together. Right now we're at Avalon Park. It'll start at Avalon Park. The date is to be announced.
Okay.
Um, but we'll all meet up at Avalon Park. We'll have structured workshops.
Okay.
We're doing our first workshop is going to be a vision board. And in that, at that vision board, we want to see what is it that the young ladies are interested in. Where do you see? What are your goals? Where do you see yourself in the future? I myself, I put my daughter in it, and the reason why I'm putting my daughter in it is because I want her to have a few more leadership skills, and that is one of the initiatives or one of the workshops that will be um, done at the mentoring program. Another workshop is sexual health,
Oh, wow.
making good sexual decisions. We have so many young people that are just reckless, and they
Mm-hmm.
have no idea how important it is to make good sexual decisions.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of
As
times in our community,
Right.
we don't like to talk about it. For whatever reason, sometimes we just kind of keep it to ourselves. I know of a woman who told me that her mother didn't tell her what was happening
Hmm.
with her cycle it just kind of happened to her during gym, and
Hmm.
the instructor had to tell her what was going on. So I think that's important.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
is very important. I found that so I don't know if I told you last time. My daughter is 13 and
Mhm.
she's an eighth grader,
Mhm.
and one of her friends was just in a situation where um a young man asked her for a BJ. You know,
Mm.
I won't go into detail
Of
what a
course.
BJ is, but I had to have that conversation with my 13-year-old daughter what it was.
Yeah. Because if you
And
don't,
so,
then her friends will frame the conversation.
right, somebody else will tell her what it is.
Mhm.
But the young man was you could tell. So as she was telling me the story, she stated, yeah, she had to push him off of her. So that means
Oh
that at
wow.
some point in time, he was kind of forcing himself on her.
Mhm.
And my thing is, if I don't tell you now, somebody will tell you later,
Mhm.
or somebody will, you'll listen to some boy,
Mhm.
and you may not make those good decisions.
Mhm.
And so, making good decisions is what we want to do. We want you to go in educated
Yeah.
to know what could possibly happen if you don't make good decisions.
That's a good segue into my next question. What has been the attitude? I know there's a lot of, interaction in the social media group of True Black Girl Magic, but what has been the interaction or conversation behind the Me Too movement?
Well, I think a lot of times people shy away from the discussion, but
Mm-hmm.
there was a young lady who I believe she posted about it, and I believe she got a lot of discussion about not just the Me Too movement, because that's more about entertainment.
Right.
Saying this happened to me too.
Mm-hmm.
She brought it along the levels of you being a young black girl. When did you notice that men started, you know, looking at you and propositioning you?
Mm-hmm.
At what age? And there was over 100 and I believe 105 comments,
Wow.
and it was a lot of women saying that happened to me or this happened to me, and it felt like they was freeing themselves as they were discussing it. Um, it looked like it was a liberating discussion.
Sure.
So they were freely discussing it, but not so much as the Me Too, more as yeah, when I was younger, this happened to me also, but
Mm-hmm.
not along the lines of
Entertainment.
they really they really didn't care about the entertainment. They wanted to talk about their personal experiences
Sure.
and how they felt about people looking at their daughters and things like that. So I think it was informative. I think it was a freeing experience, and it was definitely a discussion that I think nobody expected us to have,
Mm-hmm.
but we are not afraid of controversy.
Okay.
We want to talk about things that are important to you, to me, the busy mother. We want to give information that's valuable. We don't just want to post memes and talk about things that's not relevant to what's going on to today's society.
How can we? So I think this is a good platform for speaking out, because I think, like you said, a lot of times we shy away from the conversation. In our
Hmm.
community, generally speaking, obviously, we're taught to keep things to ourselves. We don't share. You don't say a whole lot. And I think that social media has made it a little more um, freeing, like you mentioned, to begin to discuss things, because maybe it's uncomfortable to have the conversation verbally like we're talking now, but you might be okay behind the keyboard sharing your story, and before you know it, you've typed out this manifesto, so to speak, um and you've gotten it out of your system, or able to share.
Right.
Okay.
Um, I feel like when we first started,
Mhm.
it was so many women giving testimonies
Mm.
about you know who they were and some of the things that they were afraid of. One lady talked about she was just definitely afraid of not being liked.
Oh wow.
And people judging her. And what's funny is she went to high school with me, so and I thought she was always a pretty popular chick. But it just goes to show that people have so many things and so many hangups. And I think what social media does is it allows them to tell their story. Um, and telling the story sometimes is all you need. You don't really know the people that watch your post.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know that what you say sometimes it affects other people. You never know how important something that you may have posted has affected somebody. You know, a lot of times people post just to post.
Yeah.
Sometimes people post to be thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
I remember posting. I think I was at a doctor's appointment, and I posted that what I was at the doctor for, and the lady was like, "Oh my God!" And I think maybe 7 people inboxed me like, "Oh my, I suffer from that illness as well, and this, that, and the third." And it's like, "Oh, okay."
Mm-hmm.
And one of the platforms that I used to post about a lot was about women and depression and anxiety.
Mm.
People don't want to talk about that.
They don't.
It's taboo,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important because a lot of black women suffer from
Mm-hmm.
it, and we never find anybody to talk to about it. We frown upon therapy.
Yes.
We don't want to step out of our comfort zone and deal with it. But a lot of black women suffer from
Yeah.
it.
And again, it sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's fear. But like you said, not in the sense of the popular Me Too movement, but it really is saying Me Too. Oh, really? You deal with that, much like you said about your medical issue you posted about. Oh, really? This is happening. I have a friend who started out as my student, but we're the same age, who had to have a procedure done, and because it just never came up because I'm very open. I began to share with her, my story. Although our procedures were different, they were related, and it was kind of relaxing for her to know that I had
Right.
been in a similar situation, and I obviously came out of it, and I was fine.
Yeah, a
So,
lot of people are afraid to share those things because they don't want to be judged. You
mm-hmm.
know, yeah, if you stop, like, we have to stop worrying about what people think of us. Sometimes you want to get it. There's such thing as oversharing. Don't get me wrong.
Indeed.
There's such thing as oversharing. But certain things like there should be any shame towards. Like if you suffer from this or that and the other, it is an illness. It is
Yes.
not something you signed up for. Nobody signs up to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of happens that way.
That's true. Now, speaking of support, so there was a young lady out of Tennessee who made the news recently. She's a gorgeous young lady. Her name is Lauren Williams, and she suffers from, if I'm not mistaken, psoriasis. But whatever her condition is, it causes dryness and breakage in her scalp. And so she decided, as a young woman, that she was going to wear wigs.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, two gentlemen, well, okay, two young men at her school, or maybe more, made a bet that they would snatch her wig off. And they kind of yelled out, weave snatching, as they ran up to her and snatched her wig off in a
Mm-hmm.
humiliating way. We talk about the empowerment of the black woman, the black young lady. How can we encourage our young men to be the protector of his sister, of his mother, of his cousin, of his friend? If we are the black family, we are the black
Mm-hmm.
community.
Mm-hmm.
How can we get our young men to value us more? And I'm not saying that they don't, but those who are deficient in that area or just haven't been taught, how can we encourage them?
Girl, and it's funny that you asked that. One of the things that I was also trying to coordinate is our brothers need to go back to our communities. We need more male mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they need to, because think about it. Sometimes I don't hear enough of my daddy taught me or my
Yes.
daddy did.
Or if you say that, then you get the eye roll. Oh, you spoiled, and that comes from both genders. You spoiled. Oh well, everybody didn't have their daddy. Well, maybe you didn't, but
Exactly.
where's your uncle? Where's your cousin?
Right. Like we need more men to step up. One of the things that I was told when I went to the homeless shelter
Mm-hmm.
in Inglewood, she was like, these little boys have nothing to do. Nobody comes to check them out.
Mm.
You know, nobody comes to see them. And you stand there and you're like, well, and one of the things I'm a firm believer is I am a woman, I am a mother, and I can nurture a son, but I cannot raise him to be a man. And so we have to get our men involved in what we're doing. So I put out a poll, like if we wanted to go to a shelter that housed little boys, would you go? And I had several men say yes, they would go. So I want to put that together and have some men go to some of these homeless shelters. Even just go and cut the kids' hair.
Yes.
A haircut could make a kid feel so good.
Mm-hmm. And you find that people do these kinds of things. This
Hmm.
this wig snatching or this berating or the things that went on with comedian Leslie Jones on Twitter. That dragging. Typically, people respond that way because they're trying to deflect from whatever negative feelings they're feeling about
That is
themselves,
true.
whether they
That is definitely
recognize it or
true.
not. Yeah, absolutely. So I think what you're saying, Abronia, is key. Uh, each one teach one, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then we can begin to, I don't want to say rebuild our community because I don't think it's destroyed, but we can begin to enhance our community.
Enhance it, empower it, and uplift it.
Absolutely.
What I believe, I always believe. So I didn't always live in the best neighborhood. Let's just be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived on 79th Street for a while.
Okay.
And so people would be like, "Are you afraid to go to the store at night?" I'm like, "For what? I live here.
Yeah, I'm from
You
here.
can't run me away from where you can't run me away. You have to see me. If you rob me, you got to see me every single day.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
so you won't get tired. But
Mm-hmm.
I think so many of us, once we grow up, we leave the community and we leave it to these young men and these young people that haven't been raised.
Mm-hmm. No
What I
guidance.
find that is even in the school that I work at, I find a lot of nice young men there,
Yes.
but they just don't have a man around them to help them be better.
Mm-hmm. And
That
so,
won't let them be great.
yeah.
To show them, to tell them, hey, explain to them the social emotional things that they going through when they trying to date girls and how to treat a lady and um there's nobody there to tell them that this is what a man does. Like I said, I remember being younger and hearing young men say, well, my daddy said and my daddy said
Mm-hmm.
and my uncle told me and my daddy said and I don't know if you remember Trey Styles off and Furious Styles off
Mm-hmm.
um
Boys in the hood.
what was that movie? Boys in the Hood. And he used to always say, my daddy says you have to look a man in the face. You have to say this, that, and the third. Shout out to all the wonderful men that are raising their sons,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to have no consequences. My daddy said.
That's right.
But what about the ones that don't get that?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think that, like you said, what you're doing is key. We're all grabbing one. We're all teaching one, and we can go from there. How can people reach out to Black Girl Magic Incorporated? Tell people how to find you on social media and otherwise.
We have a website at www.trueblackgirlmagic.org, and at that website you can see all the things that we've done, what we have coming up, and you can also become a member of the non-Facebook, I want to call it, organization, because we're not just a Facebook organization at this point. We are a true nonprofit organization that does give back to the community through our initiatives. So you
Excellent.
can actually join at our website, become a member at our website. You can reach out to us if you want to partner up with us at our website. Each time you click on one of those buttons, you can send us an email from our website.
Okay.
We're on Twitter, True
Mm-hmm.
Black Girl Magic. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram at Black Girl Magic. We are on Instagram, Twitter, the website. That's about it, I think,
Okay.
right?
Excellent. So,
That's
Abronia,
everything.
excellent. Abronia Young of True Black Girl Magic Incorporated. Don't forget to like A Vibrant Mix and True Black Girl Magic. Next week, we'll be back with another exciting show. Don't forget to catch us every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Central on vibe-in.com. Don't forget to follow us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And this is your girl, Tasha, A Vibrant Mix with Tasha, Tamiko, and Fred. We'll catch you next week.